Hello again, it's your friendly neighborhood host, JT Wheatley, back for another episode of the History Comics Podcast, this time with another edition of the classics with the Sandman, Season of the Mist, which is a classic story arc from the Sandman series by Neil Gaiman and various artists, this time collecting issues number 21 to 28 that were published between December of 1990 to July of 1991, in which tells a fascinating story in which the Endless family, which of Morpheus is a part of, decided to have an impromptu family reunion. And as a result of this meeting, Morpheus realized he needs to go back to hell to rescue his old lover, Nada, who is left there. Only for when he gets there, Lucifer hatches a plan of his own. And it's kind of a sweet revenge that only the devil can pull off. Neil Gaiman once again crafts a brilliant story that covers a lot of different aspects just from the ramifications of what Lucifer does. It truly is brilliant. I don't want to get into too many spoilers for anyone who hasn't read it, but this is why this stands out as one of the great stories in all of the Sandman, which by default makes it one of the great comic book stories ever written, because Sandman by itself is one of the greatest comic books of all time. It really elevated the genre in so many ways in the medium, showing what you could do, mixing mythology and literature and this adult, mature storytelling, not blood and guts and sex, but just high concept intellects that really make you think and really push the boundary for like concepts of life, death, morality, heaven and hell, and so forth. And that's what Gaiman brought to the table with the Sandman, and the Season of the Mist is a prime example of what he did. And he's brought with like various pencilers like Kelly Jones, Dick D'Argento, Matt Wagner, all bring some great work to the table, really brings a lot of atmosphere for every issue. And each issue almost has a different artist to tell the different kind of story for what's being dealt with. But all in all, this has just been a great series. Just a fantastic story. Like I said, arguably the best Sandman story ever written, of one of the greatest comic books series ever produced. So by default, that makes it a true classic by any measure.
Great things are coming on the Nerd Bliss podcast. We're changing up our presentation while keeping the candidness that you enjoy. We'll cover all your favorite shows and movies, with maybe a few surprises along the way. And you, yes you, will have opportunities to be on our show on a regular basis. That's right, you've got the Zoom Pro account, and we're going to use it. So be ready. Find us at nerdblisspodcast.com and esonetwork.com, and on all the socials at NerdBlissPod. Nerd Bliss. Listen up.
Now is February 9th, 2023, time for the favorite comic of the week. Batman number 132 by Chip Zdarsky and Mike Hawthorne, which continues a story in which Bruce Wayne finds himself in an alternate dimension in which this dimension's Bruce Wayne is dead, and also thus Batman never existed, and thus Gotham City is a much different place. Sure enough, it's not a place that Bruce Wayne approves of, and now he sets about trying to set things right, only to pop into some familiar faces who are not quite the ones he remembers from his old dimension. Meanwhile, in the backup story, Tim Drake continues to find a way to track down where Bruce Wayne is at, and we go into surprising avenues as well. Zdarsky once again has great fun with this alternate dimension storyline, especially with how he interacts with the new characters, especially one classic character who shows up that does throw Bruce Wayne for a real loop. And it's matched by Hawthorne's art, which has a nice, gritty style to it, considering this is kind of more rundown Gotham with no Batman to protect it. And some great action as well. Making for this, simply put, this is a great follow-up and change of pace from the epic fail-safe story arc from the previous one that was just like an action movie from beginning to end. And this one's more measured and but still and thoughtful and giving a nice reset after what Batman just went through. So yeah, perfect follow-up story, just a great read in general, and Zdarsky's starting with a great run on Batman in general. So yeah, be sure to check this one out. And I also have to bring up the fact that Flash, the last season, has finally started up on the CW, and while the series has not been as good as it was in those first seasons, it's nice. It's going to be sad to see Grant Gustin and Team Flash finally hanging up. Looking forward to watching these last few episodes. Have a little fun, and that'll be the final in the Arrowverse, which was by and large a pretty enjoyable run on the take on the DC universe, and Best of luck to all the actors and crew and so forth, and let's see what other great adaptations we're going to get. Hopefully that abysmal Gotham Knights show, that trailer alone is a train wreck. You will not find me watching that show. But with that, join me again next week for another edition of Classics. And until then, go out and enjoy yourself a good comic book. If you can, pick up The Sandman, Season of the Mist, because that is a true classic.